Hello YouTube, thought we'd do a quick video here. This video is going to be about how to use the interface board to test your db9 adapter and the settings that go along with it. Now, for those of you that might be new to the channel, this interface board is for the retevis rt97s or the Midland mxr10 GMRS 2A radio repeaters. This interface board lets you hook up a computer to those repeaters so that you can go ahead and run date and time and weather announcements over the airwaves. You can hook up Zello to your repeater and your repeater ID. You have your repeater ID itself. That's the purpose of the interface board. So, at any rate, let's get to it. Now, like I said, for this particular video, we don't need the repeater. We don't need to have the sound hooked up. That's not needed. We're going to plug the power supply in. That's for this interface board. We're going to plug this in. And I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but the green light should come on. If it does not come on, well then obviously you have a problem. There's no sense going any further. But that green light should come on. I'm going to see if I can see it on the camera. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit. Well, at any rate, the green light should be on. So now what we're going to do, you're going to take your USB to db9 adapter. I have a little extension cable plugged in this one. This is plugged into my computer, and I need to find out what COM port number this is using. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the computer here, and we're going to go down to here to the search down here, bottom left-hand corner. We're going to type in Device Manager. And if your screen looks like this, just click on the arrow to expand it. Go to Ports. And this is where your USB to db9 adapter should be. I have two. I have one installed for something else. But in this particular case, there's two of them. Now let's say I don't know which is which. I want to find out which one is this one. Okay, let's say I don't know. So what we're going to do is I'm going to unplug this USB db9 from the computer. Watch what happens when I unplug it from the computer. Notice one of them disappeared. Well, the one that disappeared is obviously the one that's for this. So we're going to plug it back in, and I'm going to make note of what it is on my screen here. So let's plug it back in. And in my case, it's COM port 3. Is this db9 adapter, COM port 3. So that's what I need to use that goes with this. So let me get my little fancy marker here. And I just want to show you this. Right here is the one that disappears and comes back when I plug in the USB db9. COM port 3. Yours might be a different number. That's normal. But just make note of that. You're going to need that for this in this video. So now we know what COM port number this is using. Now we can go to the next step. And the next step is we're going to, let me first clear my screen here. The next step is we're going to go ahead and go to Zello. Now, a couple things I want to mention right away about Zello. Obviously, you got to have Zello in gateway mode. See, it says radio gateway here. I'll post a link on how to do that with the free Zello version. That's the first thing you got to do. The second thing you got to do, and a lot of people forget this step, when you set up your repeater Zello channel, you got to add that channel to the gateway or it will not work properly. I'll post that link also in the description below. So once you get it in gateway mode, we're going to go to Tools. We're going to go to Options. Let me move this over. Okay. Now we're going to go to Radio. And up here there are tabs. There is a transmit, which is PC to radio. There's a receive, which is radio to PC. We're going to do the radio or to the transmit PC to radio first. Make sure I have it on COM port. Make sure I select COM port 3. In my case, I just showed you how I got that number. Make sure the RTS is selected and that is on high. Hit apply, hit OK. Now we're going to go to the radio to PC, which is the receive. Again, make sure it's COM port 3. Make sure it says DSR. Make sure it's set to high. Again, hit OK, or hit apply, hit OK. Okay? So now we're ready for the first test. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this db9 into the interface board. And what should happen, let me get my fancy little pen here. What should happen, I should see down here in the corner a bubble pop open right down in here. I should also see under the receive right here, status goes from waiting to active, and the sending goes to yes. And the green light will still stay on. This is what I should see when I plug in this db9 adapter. Let's go ahead and plug it in. And as you can tell, the bubble is right here, popped up. You can see that status here says active, and it says sending yes. We're going to unplug it. It should turn off. Okay? We'll do it again. Plug it in again. Also, when you plug it in too, you may hear the relay click, and that's normal. Again, this is working properly. It's keying up Zello. That's what it's supposed to do. We're going to unplug it. Okay? So we know that part is working. If you cannot do this and you have your settings set and it's not keying up Zello, then you have a computer issue. Whether it's your db9 adapter, maybe be bad, maybe the driver, the software driver for this needs to be updated. Maybe you have some program running in the background that could be causing an issue. There's something wrong with your computer settings somewhere if you cannot do this step. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and test it the other way. So let's clear the screen. And I should also mention, in this particular video, I'm not worried about the COM port sharing software. That's going to be the next step. I just want to make sure that the db9 is working, to try to have a process, step 1, check this, step 2, then go to this. That's going to help you, try to find any issues before you get to the next step. So after I am done with this, then I would go ahead and configure my COM port sharing software. I'll post that link in the description below. But I just want to mention that now. I'm not doing that in this video. I want to eliminate that. I want to do checks without that. That will also tell me if I have something wrong with my COM port sharing software. It kind of helps you check as you go so that you can get everything to work. And if not, you'll know right away, and then you can correct it. So, like I said, that's the next step after this would be the COM port sharing. After this video would be the COM port sharing if everything tests is okay. So now we're going to go back to Tools. We're going to go to Options, Radio, and we're going to go to the, let's move this over. We're going to go to the Receive, this tab here. We're going to change this to low. Now, I'm going to make this absolutely clear. When we're done, you got to put it back to high. But for this next test, it's got to be on low. Let me say that one more time. When we're done, you got to put it back to high. It's for the next test only. We need it to be on low. So we're going to hit apply here and hit OK. Now, as you can see, it's going to key up the bubble, and that's normal. Okay? That's normal. We're going to plug this in, and that should unkey that bubble. And now we're back to waiting and waiting. Okay? Now you're going to need a a smartphone or a tablet that's got Zello on it, you got to make sure you're signed into your Zello test channel that you're using this Zello on. And when we key up the iPhone or smartphone or Android or whatever you have, when we key it up, we should see two things happening. Three things are actually going to happen. The first thing is, I don't know if you're going to see this on camera, the red light should come on the interface board. That's the first thing you should see. The second thing you're going to see, let me get my fancy pen. You're going to see a bubble pop up down here. And on the transmit part, right here, you're going to see status goes from waiting to active and receiving yes. So those three things we should see when I key up my tablet. And as you can see, all three, the red light came on, the bubble came up in the channel here. This went from active, from waiting to active, and it went to yes. Let's do it again. Okay? So now, just to show you, there. So we know that is working properly. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go back and change that setting. We're going to unplug the interface board. We're going to, let me go ahead and clear the screen here. We're going to clear that. Okay, now we're going to go back to Tools, Options. We got to go back and change radio. Receive, radio PC. We got to put that back on high, like I said before. Hit apply, hit OK. Now we're ready. We just tested the db9 adapter, the settings. We did the settings. You saw when it worked, what it should do. And obviously the interface board is working properly because it's corresponding with the settings and what we see. So now we can go to the next step, and that would be to set up the COM port sharing software. I'm not going to do that in this video. I'll post a link to that in the description below. So, but we're on to the next step, and everything is looking good. If any of these steps do not work in this video, you have to find the problem. Now, like I said before, maybe you got a defective db9 adapter. Maybe you have a driver, your db9 driver needs to be updated. Maybe you got the wrong one, meaning I've had people order these and they're only for Windows 10, and they buy them and they try to get them to work on Windows 11 and it won't work. Maybe you done that. Maybe you got some program running in the background that's causing a conflict and not letting things work correctly. So it's if you cannot do any part of this video, you got to find the problem. It's some computer software issue that you're having. So make sure you double check all your settings, and but this is how it should work when everything is working properly. So I hope this video is helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Please subscribe. Thank you, and have a good day.